Hi everyone, welcome to another hashtag Ask Jim. This is episode 29, we're nearly at 30. So I'm going to run through a few things before I get to our guests here, and tonight we're doing it during training week. So Ben's on the camera, he'll pan to the camera throughout the night, and we're going to have a lot of questions from our prospective franchisees, and I think there's a couple of franchisors in there as well, which would be great, and we've got some nice cards made up for that. So just want to run through a couple of things which is happening in gyms. So big thanks to Matt Thorpe, who was from Gyms Mowing in Cheltenham, and Des Warren. Yesterday, the crew over here, we went out for a day on the road with a franchisee. We were there from 7 a.m. till 1:30, and Matt was very generous with his time and condensed his run for us. It's going to come out really soon, which was awesome. And big thanks to Jake and Ben tonight for the setup. We're down in the comment centre. As always, released 2 new podcasts yesterday, so it's called the Gyms Cast. If you listen to podcasts, make sure you search the Gyms Cast, subscribe to us and give us a like on the iTunes Store and Spotify. And also we have hashtag Ask Jim, which is a question and answer page. So this is something you wanted me to put up. It is live now. So if you go to the Meet Gym tab on gyms.net, there's a thing called Ask Jim there. All of our replays are under there, and we've got 120 micro clips. So you can type into the search bar business or a question. We'll actually come up with the clip from these sessions with Jim answering it. So it's a really cool little unique thing there. And as always, books for tonight. So everyone got this book in the audience here? No? One person has, which is great. I'm sure everyone will have this one if you're a new franchisee. So everyone tonight, there's a couple of questions. So we'll mark a couple of the questions tonight, give you a signed book at the end. It'll most likely be the Jim's book or the bio history, which is the ones that you don't get at training. Then someone online will get this one. So if you are online, leave a comment or question, and we'll give that to one as well. And if you don't know, on September 25th at the Jim's cleaning office out in Broadmeadows, we're going to take this on the road. So Jim's going to be there. We've got Haydar doing his big weight challenge reveal. He's not far off his goal already, so it's going to be really cool.
Yeah, he's lost a few kilos
4
already.
weeks.
He's doing well.
We posted a picture during the week, so he's already getting the abs already showing, so the six-pack won't be too far away. Okay, everyone's welcome to attend that as well. That'll be 25th of September out of the Jim's cleaning office in Broadmeadows. Now, without further ado, thank you for doing this, Kathryn Burns, who's from Jim's Dog Wash in Dingley Village, and you are 4.9 star rating from 79 survey responses, which is great. And you've just been going for over a year now in business, so just under 12 months.
Right, yes, and it's
awesome.
been a very, very fun 12 months.
That's great.
Absolutely loving it.
So I'll let you elaborate really just after we go after Rachel. So we've got Rachel Mantra as well, from Jim's Dog Wash Melbourne South, who's a franchisor. So we've got a great combination tonight, franchisee and a franchisor. So Kathryn, can you just tell us a bit about what you were doing prior to Jim's?
Yes, I was working in the corporate world. Corporate world was very stressful. Something that I really wanted to pull myself away from because it was quite stressful, to be quite honest with you. So I actually left with no other work to go to. So it gave me a lot of time to think about my passions, what I want to do next. And then Jim's Dog Wash appeared in my life. It was actually an email, and I thought, right, interesting. So left the corporate world, got in touch with Rach. And since day one, it's been a fantastic journey.
Did you have a passion for animals before?
Oh gosh, absolutely. Dogs. My friends call me the crazy dog woman. So this was definitely the right thing for me. Friends was like, Kathryn, you've got to do this. It's so you. Tom was like, Kathryn, I can so see you doing this. Just do it. Go for it. Dogs are my obsessions. I've got 3 at home. Would like more, but we'll put a stop to that just now.
Actually, I think there was a discussion this evening at dinner about.
Do you want me to get another one? I can only fit 3 in my bed at the minute. Not another one.
Might need a bigger bed than you.
Yeah, I need a bigger bed. So yes, dogs, absolutely, the love of my life, and hence why I'm here.
Now, before we get to the questions, how have you found the first 12 months? Obviously, it's a great time to have you on because the first year in business is always the toughest.
Yes,
so how have you found it so far?
So the first 3 months were quite, I wasn't like anxious or worried. I was enjoying it at the same time, but always wondering how I get my regulars in place. But then once I was getting to see more regulars, the regulars were going back in my diary. And before I knew it, I had a year's worth of regulars in my diary. So I knew who I was going to, I knew the dogs, and I built fantastic relationships with my new clients. I just feel at ease. Now I've done my 12 months, I know what I'm doing. I've got control of my diary a lot. So I'm very, very, very happy with how it's worked out.
That's great. So you've just done a year, which is awesome, a good milestone.
Yeah, it's been an exciting year. I've loved every minute. It's, there's been some little challenges, but I've had the support network.
Which is great.
So that's what you want, and that's why I'm involved in gyms.
And where are you from in the UK?
So from Leeds,
Do you support
Yorkshire
Leeds?
girl. No, I do not. I don't support any football.
Okay, all right. There we go. All right, we'll move on from that.
No, stay off that subject.
Because Jim was UK as well. Where were you born in the UK?
I'm in Australia. All right.
Okay. All right, we'll leave it there. All right.
Oh, come
My
on,
mother was living in the UK when I was born, and my father was from there. We came out when I was 3. I total Australian.
Okay.
Well, you were born in the UK, so you're a pommy. You're a pommy.
Don't be rude.
It's nice to touch on the shoulder too, which is great. So Rachel, what about your background? So thank you for doing this as well. You're a franchisor and you're always a contributor online. So tell us a bit about your background as well.
Been in gyms for 13 years now, which
Long time.
yeah, it is a long time, but actually feels like it's yesterday. Like there's no concept of time, I suppose. It's just
And you're a regional franchisor as well for cleaning, aren't you?
Yep.
Yeah. So you've got cleaning and dog wash.
Cleaning and dog wash, and I just love it. And it's easy, and the network is good, and we get to look after franchisees. And I guess one of my something I'm so proud of is watching franchisees come into our system with all you guys here, really nervous and not sure if they've made the right decision, but then actually be a part of that journey to become
Where we are now.
where we are now and where you are in 10 years' time, financial stability and just being happy in what you do.
100%.
And I'm so proud to be a part of that little journey for each of my franchisees. And
That's great to hear.
Yeah, I don't take it lightly. It's
You've also got a great division in Sharon and it all filters down right.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. That's it.
So we're going to acknowledge the people on the live feed now. So we've got around 60 eyes watching, which is great. So thank you for tuning in and leaving comments and questions. So I'm just going to run down quickly right here. Adrian Buddygig just says, I want to meet Jim. Yes, you can. Come to training 131546 and you can. Eric Jurgens, hi from Footy Hills. Hi, Eric in the audience. Jared Bywaters. G'day, Jared. Sales always tuning in. Dave McDonald. Hello from the Wimmera. Hopefully it's a lot drier than down here. Belinda Hadley, hi from Jim's Dog Wash, Northern Queensland. Go Team Red. Hello, Belinda. He's a franchisor. Steve Hawkins tuning in. And Graham Moore, hi from Jim's Dog Wash Forbes. Go Team Red. So if you are watching the live stream tonight, we do cross post, which means we go into multiple pages. If you want your comment acknowledged in real time, head over to the Jim's Group page and leave it in that so I can see that. But we do have the boys monitoring the other pages there. And Jake, where is he here? Jules Saunders on the road from Jim's South Australia. David Rumph is a franchisor, Jim's Dog Wash, Western New South Wales. There's heaps of people coming through, which is great. So welcome along. All right, now let's get into the questions from our prospective franchisees and franchisors here. So I've got a bunch of cards here, so thanks to the boys for making these up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say your name and read, and hopefully you're here. If you're not, I'll read the question. So where is Rosemary? Yep. Rosemary from Team Red, Jim's Dog Wash.
Team Red.
Thank you for tonight. Rachel, what's the number one tip that you would give to me in starting up my franchise?
Your number one tip was probably just to give yourself some time. I think the first 3 months you can be overwhelmed with where you need to be in 6 months or 12 months. And I think just give yourself time. Allow yourself that first 3 months to build your business, get your regulars, and that's where your franchisors there as well, so they'll give you support to remind you of that. Just give yourself some time. It won't happen overnight, but it will happen.
What about you, Kathryn? Obviously, you've just done your first year.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more with Rach. So my advice to you personally is first 3 months, just take it nice and steady. You're learning a lot of things at the same time. You're learning about running your business, grooming, customer service. It is very overwhelming and quite stressful. So if you just take nice little baby steps, and before you know it, 12 months, you've got all your regulars, you know who you're going to, you know the dogs, happy days. It's as simple as that. So nice and steady.
Yeah.
What about you, Jim?
Don't overcomplicate it.
Yeah.
Somewhat different. I just say what I always say is every day you look at what you're doing and say, how can I do it better? It's not the giant leaps that make the difference. It's the thousands of little tiny decisions. And as I always say, when I was mowing lawns, every day I was thinking, how can I do this job better? How can I get a better job quicker? How can I save time going between? How can I make my clients more happy? How can I earn more per hour? And just constantly every day ask that question. And it's just amazing. You only have to make micro changes, but they add up enormously over the time.
Yeah.
And the only difference between some impoverished guy pushing a lawnmower around 37 years ago and now is just this minuscule changes.
Thanks for that question, Rosemary. That's a good one. Okay, where's Ricky? Another audience question. Ricky, another dog wash. Oh, sorry, Ricky, I've got your question. Do you want me to read it out for you? Or can you remember it?
A bit of it.
Go for it.
My question is for Jim. To me, it looks like you really enjoy handing out the certificates to your new franchisees. Do you?
Oh, yes.
We all do.
I think the nicest part of my job is to say well done to somebody. I get a real buzz out of it. I love handing out certificates, especially when you get to something like a platinum or a diamond. And don't forget, diamond, which is a really tough, high award, wasn't even heard of until 3 years ago. Sharon's one of the first ever diamonds.
Maybe John, tell people who's watching they don't know what the diamond is.
A diamond is basically, it's based on the questions in the survey, which are questions like, how often does your franchisor ring you? How quickly do they get back to you? And how helpful are they? To be a diamond, you basically have almost everybody say, they ring me at least weekly. They take the call and get straight back to me, and they're very helpful. I mean, and that's virtually all of them have to stay to become a diamond. So it's a really, really tough. And every year we've got more diamonds as more franchisors. That's really exciting. But I also love, the other thing I really love to do is when I'm actually contacting a franchisee. And if I've got something like a 4.9, it's just wonderful to be able to say, well done, congratulations. And I do that several times a day when there's something coming through, because I would in contact with at least 15, 20 franchisees a day. And I always check the ratings, and if they've got a great rating, I can always say, well done. And mind you, we consider 4.6 a good rating. 4.9 is extraordinary.
Especially with that number of surveys, nearly 79 responses, which is
Yes,
great.
yeah.
High number.
Yeah. So I think one of the nicest things is to actually be able to congratulate somebody. It's really, really great.
What about you, Kathryn? Do you remember much from the training when you came? Did you know there was a gym actually when you came in?
Funnily enough, I think I knew there was a gym. I'm sure Rach told me. Gym does exist. It's taken me back actually, all this and the restaurant and the training room. I can't believe it was 12 months ago. But I asked some of the new dog wash people, how is it going? Did you get your big file? And it was just, I was going down memory lane, and it's just nice to be a part of it all again.
You obviously have like grooming and training as well. Extra, but from the 3-day course though, was there anything that you remembered or resonated with you when you left?
I was just I was ready to go, to be quite honest with you. I was ready to get my trailer and get out there because I was so overwhelmed and excited about the whole support, even before I've even got out there. The amount of love and support you got within the training beforehand was unbelievable. And I knew at that point I've done the right thing. I've made the right decision.
It's confirmation of your decision that you've already made.
100%, yeah.
Dog wash is a very loving division. Everybody's always hugging each other, and it's just all of
we just all love each other.
And they all
so
make a big
much.
noise at training and cheer, and when somebody gets their certificate and everything, they're a funny bunch.
We're a different kind.
Did you do the training 13 years ago, Rachel? Did you do it here, or was it somewhere else? Or
No, well, actually, I didn't do it 13 years ago.
Okay.
My husband did, but then I came and did franchise.
You do the franchisor training, right? So
but I've sat in every training session.
Yeah.
So technically,
You're not
no,
back to
but
front.
Yes.
I have.
She's had 13 years worth of training.
Yeah.
So 65 people watching at
Never
home, which
stop
is
learning.
great, and they're leaving comments and questions. So I'm just going to run through a few people, acknowledge them now. So we have here Francesca's tuning in. G'day, Francesca. Sky, hi from Danny and Sky, Gold Coast Team Red. So franchisee up there. Sharon Connell's tuned in. Hi, Team Red. David Cardillo, Jim's Pool Care up in Mooloolaba. Thanks for watching, David. Paul Wickens tuned in with a question. Jim, mate, what's your favourite mower, real quickly? Favourite mower for Paul Wickens back at home?
Oh, I love the Ego, this new battery powered one. I think they're very good potential.
That's it. So Belinda Hadley, oh wow, Ricky, her husband makes the best coffee, so we're ex-mobile cafe front row. That's true.
Yep,
Peter
it
Pan's
is
tuned in,
true.
he's
There
up
it
from
is.
cleaning.
Yeah.
It is very nice hot chocolate. I don't eat coffee, but chocolate's good, isn't it?
And Geordie Rosenfeld tuned with a high. But there's a great question here from Chloe McKinnon for you, Kathryn.
Oh.
What's the best dog name you've come across?
Oh, gosh. Okay. That's a tricky one. Really? The best name. Oh.
That's from Steve.
Oh, sorry, Steve. Yeah, best dog name ever, Steve. Yeah, there we go, Steve.
What about you, Rachel? Do you have any pets at home or?
Yeah, Steve.
Oh, it is Steve. Sorry. Okay. All right. I was What about you, Jim? What's your dog name at home? The one that barks when we came at 7 a.m. to do your day in the life?
Apollo.
Apollo.
Yeah. Apollo, I'm not so sure about Apollo. I pushed Apollo off the bed this morning and he bit me.
So for those looking at home, there's a nice couple of teeth marks on
Yeah.
you.
Oh, really?
Yes, he's a Cavallo, so the poodles, and he's a half poodle, so they're notoriously bitey.
Yeah.
Didn't like being
Jim's got the same breed dog as what I do.
Okay.
So
Ah.
Apollo and Steve are both caboodles.
There we go.
Yeah,
lovely.
my wife and my daughters are they treat him like a baby.
They are.
They are babies.
That's right.
They're fur babies.
You gotta be careful what you say about animals.
Yeah, they are babies.
All right. So where's Lloyd? We've got Lloyd with another question now. Lloyd is a bookkeeping franchisor over from WA.
Thanks, mate. Rachel, I've got a question for you, and I'll ask the right one for you. I know it's important to support your franchisees besides the phone calls and da-da. Can you give me one real key point of supporting your franchisees? Thanks.
I think probably just being genuine
And
and
honest.
just being honest and genuine, and actually I care for all my franchisees, so I don't think there's any real secret to it. You just got to be yourself, and it just we're all
Family.
we're family.
Yeah. Like
So
the minute.
thick and thin.
Yeah. I always get in touch with
That's
you
the thing
on
that's
that.
most striking about great franchisors. It's not so much that they follow particular rules, though they obviously have a lot of contact. It's they have genuine concern. And you can see when a franchisee's got problems, it hurts them, and they really want to help, and they're ringing them up and just really showing that they care. And
Absolutely.
most of our franchisors are like that, actually, and it's something I'm very proud of. Probably more proud than almost anything that we do, that most of my franchisors really care about the franchisees they look after.
100%. I can vouch for that.
What did you find in the early days that helped you the most? Just being able to pick up someone to chat to, or?
Oh, 100%. So that was the selling point for me, that I've got Rach and Sharon and everybody else. You know, when you're first setting up, you're going to bump into some headaches here and there. Rach.
Calming.
Yeah.
How often would you be talking to her in your first, say, month or so? How often would you?
Regularly, because you're coming.
Like every week or every day or what?
I'd probably say every other day with Rach. Yeah, and if she didn't hear, Rach was quite funny. If she doesn't hear from me for 3 days, Kathryn, you need to ring me. Rach, everything's all right. I promise. I'm enjoying it. Everything's good. So, you know, Rach is always out there thinking about us constantly.
Yeah.
She wouldn't leave me alone, bless her. So, all good.
You want to make sure you're okay.
Yeah, 100%.
It's a big thing.
It is. And
It's a big investment, and we'll make sure it goes okay.
Yeah.
It's great to hear.
Yeah, no, it's great.
So Peter and Alison are tuning over from the ditch. Hi, Rachel, Pete and Ali from NZ, which is Jim's dog watch as well. Steve Manor says Steve the Cavoodle is watching. And Len Groom says hi all. Okay, got another question here from Tom. Where's Tom? Tom in the front row.
Katherine's husband.
Katherine's husband.
Tom.
Okay, great. Let's see. Let's see what this is.
Make it a curly one. Come on, she's on the spot.
Come on, give it to me.
How many dogs have you got booked in for tomorrow?
None, because I'm on annual leave. Unfortunately,
I'm taking a holiday.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm taking a holiday to Bright. So I'll see my pooches next week. Yeah.
What about, where is Jason? So we've got another one from Jason in the audience, which is a pool care franchisor. He's come down up. Are you from Central Coast, Jason? Or which
Central Coast,
Central
Newcastle,
Coast, Newcastle.
Port Stephens. So a little bit of conversation today in our franchisor training about the complaint system. Would you ever consider change the word from complaint to customer feedback?
No, because customer feedback's generally positive. See, we make a lot of the complaints, but the vast majority of customer feedback is strikingly positive. We have vastly more 5-star surveys than everything else put together, and more positive with time too. So,
But I think the complaint, when it comes through to the franchisee, remember this was discussed a little bit when you were looking at the complaint system. Remember how they were changing it to like a concern, like
I think it's maybe just because the way it makes them feel
Yes.
when it comes through as a text message complaint, and it's instantly like, oh,
yeah.
we are
it's
changing the
it's
system.
deflating, I suppose.
We are
for a
changing the
franchisee.
system to sort of about possible complaint or possible concern, and it has to be confirmed. Because actually, a lot of complaints get taken off. All that somebody has to do is show me, and I would probably have taken off 15 complaints or bad surveys because somebody's shown me the evidence of the fact that, hey, I rang the client and I texted them. Now, how people can ignore that, I don't know. But when they complain that nobody contacted them, it's not a valid complaint, is it? So I delete it, and I let the franchisee know that I've deleted it.
Are you looking at adding that word in there, maybe possible complaint as opposed to just the word complaint?
Yeah, that's the idea, to make it a tentative complaint, and it only gets confirmed as a complaint after there's been an investigation.
Maybe it could be named tentative complaint.
I don't know. Have you had a complaint before, Kathryn?
Yes, I've had a couple of incidents, but again, Jim was onto it straight away with Rach, obviously, and Jim had my back. And
So tell me what actually happened then in those cases.
So it was quite recently, actually. So I'd moved away from a suburb, and because I'd serviced the lead prior when I was on pay for work guarantee, she then made another inquiry. So the lead came through to me as an old inquiry, but I then said, "Oh, sorry, I don't service that suburb anymore." So she wasn't too happy about that and made the complaint. And I was like, "But I've explained I don't service that suburb anymore." And once Jim was aware of that, he was like, "Yeah, we can't take that as a complaint. She's told the customer." That's exactly why I do what I do, because I can choose which suburbs I enter and work for. So we did everything by the books, and Jim knew that, and Jim cleared it.
Do you think changing that wording from complaint, they might get less of a...
Absolutely. Yeah. Look, me being a new franchisee, when I see the complaint, I get really panicky, don't I, Rach? I'm like, "Oh, I don't want a complaint," so straight away I'm like,
nobody does.
I don't want this.
But based on what Jim was saying, maybe possible complaint or possible...
Yeah, possible until it's further investigated.
Yeah.
Even possible concern, and maybe then it can escalate to a complaint after that. If it's really
That's kind of what's happening. They're just programming it in, and it has to be investigated, and opportunity to object, and the franchisee can say their piece to franchisor. Often we get the franchisor, if there's a doubt, the franchisor can ring the client and try and work out what actually happened.
Exactly, and Rach did do that, actually.
Did.
So I knew Rach responded to it straight away, emailed you, Jim, and you finished it off and cleared it, and everything was good.
It's not just complaints too, it's also poor star ratings.
So that's what my concern is.
We had a complaint today with somebody who got a 1-star rating. Now, what happened was it was a cleaner, and the client wanted the cleaner to clean their roof. Well, it's not safe for the cleaner to go up on the roof, and I'm actually putting my franchise at risk. So when I discovered that was what was behind it, I deleted it. Not only the complaint, but the survey as well.
It's no brainer.
Because if a franchisee does everything right, then there shouldn't be a complaint.
Exactly.
So it's not a direct connection of what the client says. It's the client gives us a guidelines to it, and then we check whether it's fair or not. In actual fact, increasing proportion of complaints are getting taken off. But then there's other situations, like we had another one just now before I came on here, where the franchisee had sent the email to the customer said I hadn't had a quote. The franchisee had emailed the customer the quote, but they didn't follow it up. They didn't send a text to say, and so naturally the quote got lost, wrong email address or went to the cell or something like that. The customer complains, and they said, "Well, I did the right thing. I sent the email. I emailed the quote, but I said you should have followed up. It's in the manual. And I've told you 100 times follow it up, because the fact that you didn't follow it up meant the client was unhappy. You probably lost the job for good, and our name is bad, even though you." So it's kind of like trying to persuade people to do the right thing, but more and more are doing that. Actually, we get less and less problems of that kind as franchisees learn how to avoid them.
Yep.
It's a great question, Jason. Does that answer your question a little bit with that one? The possible might be coming in, maybe. Yeah?
It's basically what Rachel just said.
Yeah.
Possible concern.
It's the shock, the emotional reaction straight away, right?
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great question. Thanks for that one, Jason. Okay, run down some questions and comments. We're up to around 76, 80 people watching, which is great, so welcome along. Leave a comment or question in the Jim's Group live feed. So Ben Ward's going, great to see some dog wash franchisees on the live stream. Ask Rachel what her favourite gym story is. Because that's putting you on the spot.
That's because I asked him what his favourite
Oh, you
gym
did too,
story
didn't
was.
you? Yeah, so he's got your one back there, hasn't he? Yeah.
Hey, Kak. I actually don't have one. Actually, Jim and I were going to play squash next training session, so...
You going to do it?
Yeah.
Which is supposed to be good, and that's good, because I love squash. It's really fun.
Yeah.
We're going to have a...
It might be a news story.
We've got a day in the life with Jim coming out, so we filmed him from 7 a.m. to it was 9 o'clock, which is the Ask Jim's big day. But
it makes me like it, because they're actually going to show me the good shots, not not all the pathetic ones that I
Well,
failed
I hope
at.
it goes both ways.
You did have a trip over too. We didn't film the tripping over though. I don't think we did.
I fell over, did I?
Yeah, you fell over accidentally, but yeah. But Jim's actually pretty good, so we've got some nice slow motion shots of that, and yeah, it's all good.
It's great fun, squash. I love squash. Keeps you fit and it's
absolutely.
competitive. It's really fun.
So thanks for everyone watching. Leave your comments or questions in there, and we've got the sign books there. So I've got another audience question here from Calypso. Where is Calypso? Thank you for writing this, Calypso.
My question is, it's for Jim. What's your favorite? Thing about your job?
What's your favourite thing about your job from Calypso?
When franchisees do well. When somebody tells me a story, when I ring somebody who's been going 10 years and they just say to me, this is the best thing I ever did. I got a great life. I get to see my kids more than I used to in the past. I really get a buzz out of that more than anything.
So do I, actually.
What about you, Kathryn?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the question again? Sorry, I was just listening
What's
to
your
Jim.
favourite thing?
What's the thing
What's
about
your
your
favourite
job?
thing about
About
your job?
your job?
Oh gosh,
About
I just hang out with dogs all day. It's, no, it is. I find it really therapeutic. It's it's good. I love it.
You're in your happy place.
Oh, 100%. Getting my Jim's dog wash trailer. Everything else is forgotten about.
Thanks for that question,
Calypso's our beautiful little. She got a certificate for doing the training course, and she was so well behaved. Not a peep out for the whole time.
How old are you, Calypso? 8.
Oh.
Future Jim.
Yeah, Jim's dog wash.
Which one? Yeah, which one would you do? Which one would you do, Calypso? Which division? Dog wash or which one?
What's Mum doing?
Cleaning. All right, so we go. I'm sure Haydar will be happy to hear that.
You could be a future cleaner.
Okay, so thank you for that question, Calypso, and good luck. Okay, so we've got another question here from about interaction. Is it Greg, I think? Yeah. Greg? This is a great question. I don't think we've had this one before.
Thanks for that. Jim, do you interact with all your divisions as much as you do with your flagship Mowing?
Great question.
I spend more time with cleaning than most divisions because I'm the direct divisional support for the cleaning division. So I spend a lot of time with Haydar and Ali. So it kind of depends on the division. Some I spend a lot of time with, cleaning especially, also mowing to some extent, and some I only approach very, very rarely, like something like kitchens, for example. So to a lot of extent it depends on how people contact me too. Some people ring me all the time, and they, one or two franchisors who phone me a couple of times a week, so I get to speak to them a lot. But I don't. Yeah, I just basically respond to what people want from me, and I'm the one that people can contact if they need to.
What about networking ability with you guys, with other gyms, franchise owners in the field? Do you get much referrals from other divisions, or do you refer other divisions, or?
I forget. If that's a question.
Yeah, direct question for both of you.
That's an open question. Yeah, I've had a couple. I actually had a little bit of a deal going with another gym. If I washed his dog, he'd do my lawns.
Bit of contra deal.
Which is good.
There we go.
There
Didn't really work out like that though, because I was spending a lot more time on the dog, whereas he wasn't on my lawns. So we ended up, just saying, look, we tried, but let's just pay each other.
Well, that works too, because at the end of the day, you're supporting each other's business.
Absolutely.
And that's what we are. We're a
100%.
network.
I've got a gym's mower, I've got a gym's cleaner now, and then obviously I have my own dog wash.
Yeah.
So I use gym.
We've actually organised meetings in my hometown with, there's been a dog wash at the time, Jim's trees, Jim's mowing, the 5 Jim's cleaners, and we've all just got together and had a bit of a network
sort of
meeting.
stuff.
No, I haven't got to that stage yet, but I kind of network with my services that I use through gyms.
Yeah, of course you do.
Yeah.
Whenever I get a franchisee who's quiet for work in the beginning, I introduce them to the franchisors of the other divisions that are nearby, and they're usually wonderful. They'll say, "Come to the meeting, and we'll introduce you. You can do free services and get paid by your paid by your franchisor." Sometimes they can refer them work in all kinds of ways. Yeah. So we really try and encourage people to get together across divisionally.
No, it does. It's great. Every time I see another gym, it's
Smile wave,
yeah,
which is
absolutely.
great.
I've just seen one in Ascot Vale today. I was in getting a coffee and had a 2-minute conversation with the mower.
Absolutely. We're all one big family. Hi, Jim. Hi, Jim. Yeah, it's great.
So we're around 75 people watching on the live stream, which is great. So thank you very much. Leave your comments and questions, and we'll get to as many as we can. So I'm going to get to another question from the card here. So I've got James. James is in the front row.
This is for Jim. You've nearly got 4,000 franchisees going at the moment. How do you relax and where do you go on holiday to relax?
Good question.
I like to go to my farm actually. I go to a farm about a half hour up the country, and I go up there and mostly just dig and dig potatoes and walk and stuff like that. That's my main relaxation. As far as holidays are concerned, I hate them. To get away from the business for more than 2 or 3 days is very difficult for me. I just get stir crazy. The hardest time of the year for me is Christmas. Between Christmas and New Year, nothing's going on. I feel very on edge. I love my work. I really do. I couldn't think of anything more fun to do.
Maybe you want to tell them about how they got you to Thailand. So you do go overseas if there's a...
Yes, my family's always complained that I don't want to go on holidays and stuff, but I did take them to Thailand once because somebody asked me to give a series of talks and seminars and stuff to a business group. So I said to them, okay, well, look, I'll go and do it, but you fly my family over for the holiday. So they went across and had their time, and I did the talks. And so between doing the talks and the seminars and doing my emails and phone calls and everything else, I really didn't have to be on holiday very much. So that was not too bad.
Well, you guys, Kathryn, what about your first year of business? Did you take much downtime at all? Or?
This is your first one, isn't it?
Yeah, no, not much downtime. Only because I didn't want to. I was on a mission and really enjoying it. I think when you enjoy it, you don't need to have downtime, you know.
Yeah.
So this is my, I wouldn't really call it downtime. It's 4 days. But I think it's important to...
Are your leads off in those 4 days?
Am I...
Your leads are off.
No, it's the local. I've got local on. I'm keeping local on because if I do get any Dingley Village inquiries, I don't want to lose them. I want to keep them.
Yeah. So she's still working.
So I'm still working, just relaxing at the same time.
What about you, Rachel? Do you take much of the time to switch off? You're always travelling around. You're obviously between Coffs Harbour and down here.
Yep. Yeah, go on a holiday once a year.
Yep. That's good.
For how long?
Or 2 weeks is good. 2 weeks is good. Yeah.
2 weeks.
Yeah. I don't know. It's got to reconnect with the family, and it's
So we've got another question from the card here. Is it Chawla or about working hard? Continue to work hard? Can't read the name, sorry.
Oh,
Carla, sorry.
No worries.
Sorry.
So
Yeah, look like I had.
Jim, what drives you to work so hard when you've achieved so much success?
I just find it enormously fun. I just love what I do, and I do it. Almost the pay is irrelevant. Obviously, I don't need to work, but also I have a very great drive to my research, develop my research, which is something I did in my PhD. Developed a theory of society, which we're now able to test, originally using rats, but it's got very strong potential for helping cure mental illnesses and problems like addiction and anxiety and depression, which is an increasing issue. And we've had some very fascinating results. So, in a sense, it's that sense of purpose that drives me. I love gyms. It's really fun and it's really rewarding to see people do well, but also knowing that I can potentially make a big difference to the world one day, which is really great.
What's your goal in the business ultimately, Kathryn? Do you have any like a 5-year plan, or do you know where you want to be maybe 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, look, I have considered becoming a franchisor,
Okay.
but at this stage, I'm nowhere near that yet. It is an idea in years to come. But I'm enjoying what I'm doing so much. Like now I've got my regulars in place. My clients have become my friends, and I'm just really enjoying that relationship with them. So at this stage, I'd like to
Maybe a
stay.
split?
Yeah. Well, look. I don't know about that. No, I'm quite protective of my clients because I love them all. So no, I'm not selling anybody. They're all mine.
What about you, Rachel? You've got a few business ventures going on outside of gyms as well. You're a very busy business lady. What about you? Do you have a goal in mind in 5 years or something? Or?
Well, bookkeeping. Sorry, Louis, no. Yeah, I've got a bit of a 3-4 year plan at the moment with another business to build it up, sell it, but I think gyms will always be there for me. Yeah, but other businesses I'm quite happy to build up and sell.
Yeah. So how many businesses are you running at the moment? Let's take you 2. So you're regional for 2, so we'll count them as 2 separate ones.
Regional for 2.
Yep.
Well, carpet cleaning franchise.
Yep.
That I do things for. A gym.
The gym, yeah?
Yeah.
So you've got 4 going at the moment.
4 going.
So how do you manage your time?
It just happens.
You've got to make it happen.
It just happens. It just all, a phone call comes in, I answer it and I deal with it, and there's no real plan. It just sort of, it just happens.
Take things as they come.
Yeah.
If you love what you do, it doesn't seem like work, does it?
No,
Really?
you're right.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I never mind a person contacting me in an evening or a weekend or anything at all. I just don't mind it because it's just great to be able to help somebody. It's just a great feeling.
Yeah, you get a text message, Kathryn, can you groom my dog please next week? This is at 9 at night. Yeah, I'll just open up the diary.
There's no real plan. It just happens.
You just do it. You just roll with it. Yeah, it's nice. I enjoy it. Yeah, it's good.
Thanks for that question. Okay, so is there Tim? Is it Tim or Jim? Maybe there's a little extended on the J.
There's another Jim.
Tim or Jim?
That's Mike's right again.
Mike's right. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, g'day. Yeah, it is Jim. Just a question. There's a large, I suppose, percentage of customers out there who still ring independents and franchises. I'm just wondering, have you got any thoughts on why they still do that?
Partly because they're cheaper. I mean, we could never own the market because our whole model of doing business is great service at a high price, or at least a reasonable price. So, and some people just want the cheapest. So there'll always be space for your high pages. Just give me the cheapest price. The thing I find funny actually is when people ring back, they send in surveys about a lousy job being done, and we find out that actually they rejected the quote of the franchisee because he's too expensive and they've got somebody cheaper who does a shoddy job for them. But the problem with it is actually that there is such a big demand for our kind of service, the quality service, even at a higher price, that we can't remotely even reach it. We're knocking back one job in 4 right now. So it certainty is that the market is far, far bigger than anything we can currently service.
A lot of people don't think, add to this because we're softly changing our slogan with gyms to your local expert. And part of the reason why is when we do surveys and stuff is they don't think we're local. They think it's a big corporation and all that sort of stuff. So we're literally putting in the tagline, local expert, because everyone is a local expert in what they do and you're the local expert. So
in fact, our guys are probably more local than most people because of the way our territory systems work, that you get preference on the closest areas to home. So whereas an independent might have to work over a large area, our people increasingly work over a very, very small local area, so they travel less.
Yeah, we work where we live.
I think your local area marketing is really important as well.
Absolutely.
You know, getting to the community event, parking the trailer at the footy or whatever sport your child plays, getting around mingling. It seems like it's basic, but it's really effective, and that lets them know you are a local. You got to do that bit of that graft. I think it really will work. We hope with all this sort of content we're doing in the day and the road stories and stuff where people see, this bloke lives in my area, that's my street, and all that sort of stuff with that repositioning of your local expert, that's what we can do. It's quite interesting when we've done some customer research and stuff. They actually don't go, they say the same thing, I prefer to use independent. So people think, we're losing the high pages or Airtasker or whatever it is. It's actually the opposite. They say, I want to support the local guy. So you have to let them know you're the local guy. So that's why you have to do the local area marketing. That's why it's so effective. Like we had Dan Cahill from 2 weeks ago as a franchisee, a 24-year-old. He did everything they said. He went next door, knocked on the doors. He did all what you would consider the old school stuff. But that's building slowly that you're the local reputation in that area. So all the stuff that you're taught, follow it to a T, and you'll be no problem at all. But really, you got to let people know you're local. We might assume, even though you live in the area, you've got to really just let them know you're in the area. So I don't know what you guys think about the local area marketing you did in the early day.
That is exactly what worked for me. So my postman, Tom, when we got the flyers, bless him, he was going out all down the Dingley Village streets, flyering for me whilst I was out on the jobs. Yeah. The amount of business I got was amazing because we stapled the magnets, my business card magnet, to the flyer. I couldn't have thanked him enough. He was like, did you get any business today? I was like, yes, I got another 2 dogs booked in. So it works. Yeah. Local advertising. Yeah.
And now she's known as Kathryn from Gyms.
Kathryn from Gyms, that's perfect, right?
Yeah, which is exactly what you want.
You know, and we do push the online stuff a lot with franchisors and all sort of stuff like online leads and all that sort of stuff. And the problem we have is that when someone says, where did you find about gyms, they go to Google. However, they could have seen you at the footy or they could have, I remember that person, I'm going to go online at Gyms Dog Wash, and they do the inquiry via that. And then the source from the call center says Google, right? So it's an omni-channel approach. A little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here. Front of mind, right? I saw them at the sport event.
That's what we work
radio. Then I went to the digital channel, you know. So it's all omni-channel, what we call it, multiple places where we keep seeing you around. Yeah. So the basic stuff works really well. And that's the message I'm trying to get to any franchisee watching at home is that the stuff you are taught in training, if you do follow the system and do it, You're never going to fail. You're always going to have it.
You always just got to plant your seeds.
It's just becoming steadily easier to find clients. The volume of unserviced leads is much greater. Back in the early days of gyms, we used to have teams of canvassers knocking on doors. These days, sometimes we can't even spend the advertising budget in some regions because there's so much work coming in. Our biggest challenge really is not finding work, it's actually holding on to our franchisees, which is how can we make our franchisees happier and more successful and want to stay with us forever and ever and ever. You know, I want you to still be with us in 20 years' time. That's our biggest challenge. How can we make this business so great for you that you'll never want to leave us?
I think it's the loyalty for me that I have to my customers as well, because the relationship I've got with my customers, I don't ever really want to lose that. I feel that I'm servicing a family member and looking after their fur baby. So that's the big thing for me, is that I'm not just going out to work, I'm actually caring for something that they love. So that's what's key. That's what I'm enjoying about the health thing.
That's a really good question as well. I'm just going to read through a couple of questions which are coming through the live feed. We're not ignoring people on the live feed. We just had people here. We wanted to get through the card questions as much as we can. We've got one more to get through there. So Heather Campbell is tuning in. Hi, Rachel from Jim's Dog Wash, Central Coast, New South Wales. So hi, Heather. I think I met her before when she came down. Sue Martin says, hi, Rachel. Now, John Walsh, this is a long question here, so I'll do my best to read this on the live feed. So John Walsh has gone, the question David has mentioned is he booked a job 10 days after the initial inquiry and the survey came out via text or email 7 days, and the client put a 1 star and said he hasn't been back yet as a comment. It's taking him a lot back and forth calls to get it resolved. He has asked that the survey ask more questions, i.e. has he called, has the job been booked, had the job been completed, if not why, etc. I've had the same issues. So they're asking for the survey questions to be extended to take into account some of those situations.
We do actually send a more elaborate emailed survey, but the ones that get the response are the SMS surveys that go to the mobile phones. And that's basically, it's a star rating and a comment. But all I can say in that situation is you need to follow it up and find out what the client meant by it. And if the franchisor follows up and finds it wasn't really the franchisee's fault, then I'm happy to take it off. But we get about 30% of customers responding to our surveys. If we asked a whole stack of questions, we might get 5% if we're lucky. That's the issue, and we really want to know how we're doing.
Yeah, and people are time poor. They need 3 quick questions and then bang, bang, bang. Otherwise, if it's too long, they just won't answer it.
I think everyone's conditioned for mover, unfortunately. You get first thing 5 star, then the rest about was it communicative or whatever. They've actually I think they've scrapped that now. So they just have, do you want to leave a tip, and that's it. So
Look, surveys have been very good actually. I mean, they do put pressure on people, but when you get somebody with a 4.9, I mean, you know that person is brilliant. You really know it. Which also means too that if ever a complaint comes in or a disagreement with a client of any kind, that person has a lot of credibility. Whereas if you were a 3.5, for example, we look very sceptically at what you're doing. So it helps us to understand what's going on. And we've got cases where the franchisee, we've actually supported the franchisee to the nines. This saying that the customer is always right, it's absolutely not true. There are a lot of cases where we just simply, I had a complaint today from a customer because they said the job was poorly done. And the franchisee has offered to go back and do it again. And the customer says, no, I don't want it back, I want a refund. And I said, no, you've got to give the guy a chance. He's made a mistake, go back and fix it, do the job properly. And then if he can do that, then I'll delete the old survey and I'll put the proper stuff in. But you've got to give him a chance.
So Peter and Alison from over in NZ have gone, when is NZ getting the SMS surveys? So there must have been an operation in New Zealand.
I thought we had them.
Well, they're saying, when is NZ getting the SMS surveys? So maybe it's not in operation for there.
I'm sure we have SMS surveys in
We'll check into that, Peter and Alison. Yeah. We'll get that confirmed. Yes.
If you want just a question, just email me jim@jims.net and I'll chase it up for you and get you a definite answer from the office. As far as I know, they are being done. I'm stunned to think that they wouldn't be.
Yeah. So just send through a reminder to Jim and he'll flag it in his inbox. I'm sure you'll find it out this morning. You flick the live and say, do we do this or not? Question mark, bang, answer. All right, cool. So Jules Saunders on the, where is it? Lorna Riley. Okay, this is a great one. Lorna Riley on one of the other live feeds, which is great. We've got 65 people still watching, which is awesome. Leave a comment or question in this one and we'll get to it as much as we can. If a franchisee received a lead from the call centre and after calling, texting, emailing and can't get an answer or response, does the lead still have to be paid for? Question mark.
Yes.
That's it. Just yes.
Yes.
Just yes.
Sorry.
All right.
Yes.
All right.
Because we don't even we don't actually charge for every lead. We only charge for usually 85% of leads. So we're allowing for the fact that some people are impossible to get onto. But as soon as you start taking off leads because somebody says, I've tried to get in contact, you have all kinds of problems. We had one particular case where this was a different call centre, was actually cancelling leads willy-nilly, and we only found out they were doing it when one of the cancelled jobs that they couldn't possibly get, the franchisee put their foot through the customer's roof while they were doing the job, but they were just claiming they hadn't got it. So it's kind of, it's you just simply got to say a lead is a lead. Look, we'd knock off a lead if it's completely unfindable, like a wrong address, wrong phone number, if it's a mistake like in the wrong city, or something of that nature, or completely the wrong service. Those kinds of things where it's obviously completely wrong.
I must admit, I have deleted a lead.
Yeah.
For no contact.
No contact, yeah.
Yeah.
So you've marked it in.
Yeah.
Well,
I can vouch for that.
as a franchisor, you can do that. So I'm just saying I wouldn't do it normally.
And mine as well, Rach, I think I've sent you a language barrier. Like, you know, you can get very, very difficult Chinese people, or, you know,
Sure,
if you can't communicate and she doesn't understand me and vice versa, you can't really move from that.
Right.
So I've said, Rach, I'm struggling with this lead. And she's like, yeah, I totally understand.
We are concerned. I understand.
Case by case.
I understand the warmth of it, but we also find that sometimes franchisors can be too slack. And if you take off too many leads, then it's taking away the incentive to follow up jobs, which is
I'm very case by case, and I look at more of a long-term relationship thing rather than a short-term. No, you got to pay for every lead. That's all. And if there's a pattern, then it's a conversation's had and said, "Oh, hang on, let's have a bit of a discussion about this." But it's very rare.
It's not a matter of whether you pay for it or not. The incentive's got to be there. As I often say, the difference between leads and charging for leads and not charging for leads is that we actually can pick up about 50% more jobs when we charge for leads because the incentive to follow up is so much stronger.
Oh, and I'm not denying that, but sometimes it's just there's circumstances.
If it's very, very rare at your discretion, you can do it. We don't say not, but we just say don't do too much of it. If we find franchisors doing it too often, we will take away the power to do it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because you really, as I don't care income, it's mainly the franchisor's income anyway, not mine, because we only get a very small percentage. But at the same time, the thing I'm concerned about is we don't undermine customer service.
No, absolutely.
Do you want to keep going back with that, Rachel? Push back a bit, or?
I'm good.
You're good?
Yeah,
all right, all good. So Peter and Alison have gone, I only get an email surveys in NZ. So.
I'm always the hard man around here too. I'm tougher on customer service and franchising service than anybody else. So I'm always pushing for high standards.
You've got to be.
So Peter and Alison have gone, I only get email surveys in NZ, so that might be the case. Maybe a ticket for IT development for NZ surveys by phone.
Oh, right.
So that's what they're saying there.
I didn't even know that. It's really surprising.
David Lorraine, is it TQMA? Have gone, hi Rachel. So hello to you for tuning in. Okay, so I've got some more questions and comments from the other live feeds, which we'll get into now. So Drew Oville's gone, how can I get involved? I live in East Gippsland. Very simple, Dave. Drew, 131546 or gyms.net. Jim's Mowing Bay of Plenty Hawks is tuning in again, said hey, so thank you for writing that comment. Now here's one for the team. James Halligan on one of the other feeds.
By the way, if you're in East Gippsland looking at Mowing, we've got a lot of work out there. We'd love to have you on board.
Or any other division as well. So there we go, Drew.
Hey, Mowing division is good.
Yeah. Or any other one, Drew. It can be anything, right? It can be anything, right? Okay, so James Halligan's gone, hi team, one for Jim. After a few months of research, I've decided to pull the trigger on a Mowing franchise when I can organise capital. During my research and asking current gyms, I have not found one negative thing or aspect. My question is, what are Jim's thoughts on negatives to do with the mowing sector? So he's found no negatives from ringing around or talking to current gyms franchisees, which is great.
Is that a negative? Negative.
It might be a negative than a negative, yeah, I don't know.
So what do you mean? What's the negative?
But he says, so what are your thoughts to do with negatives with the mowing sector? Is there any downsides to running a mowing and garden care business?
I think it's wonderful. I mean, I mowed lawns for 15 years, and when I have my break time, I go out to my farm and I garden and I mow my lawns up there. So it's kind of it's entertainment. So I think it's a wonderful, wonderful business because it's outdoors. You know, they actually done surveys on the happiest people with the happiest services. Yeah. And you know what? Right at the top comes, I'm sorry to say, not dog groomers, but they're fairly high, but gardeners and florists. They're right at the top.
Yeah, they were too.
And you know who's at the bottom? Lawyers.
I was happy being a cleaner. I love When I was a cleaning franchisee.
Yeah, I did a law degree.
So
I had it.
to me, well, I love the outdoors. I just love being outside.
Yeah,
I love
it's the
gardens. I
best.
love trees. I live on 5 acres. I just love
Yeah.
that sort of thing. So if you've got that kind of mind, it's a fantastic job.
It is. It's healthy for the mind, for sure.
Well, I'll tell you what.
I had a franchisee who just started, I think a month ago, and he wrote me a letter. He said he's lost 10 kilos. He
What?
said it beats Jenny Craig cold.
Absolutely.
Actually, I did enjoy eating whatever I wanted when I was a cleaner.
Well, getting fit's a nice side benefit.
Yeah.
No, it
Yeah.
is, and that's definitely one advantage of our job
Then
is
your labour's good.
I'm active for like 10 hours a day.
Yeah.
Like, lugging a trailer around, preparing, picking up dogs, carrying them, manoeuvring around. It's very active. It's good.
That's the funny
what I
thing.
like about
People
it.
today are so focused on getting a degree and sitting in some white-collar job, sitting in an office in front of a computer. And yet, in actual fact, your own business working physically, I know it's not...
He's not doing much for the national staff who work and do that behind the
They tend to get a bit flaggy on national staff. That's why I try to get them to play squash. But the point of it is, there's a lot of research shows that being physically active is actually almost the biggest single thing alongside having a good family relationship that contributes to mood. If you could bottle the effects of physical activity and sell it as a pill, it'd make billions.
Absolutely.
It makes you feel so much better. That's why I'm so vigorous about exercise, because it really affects mood so much.
That's why you need to get a gym here, Jim.
Yeah.
That's why I
So
need your
to
gym.
me, having a business of any kind that's physically active, and particularly if you love gardening, mowing, it's exercise, it's fun, it's flexibility. It's just a great lifestyle. I've loved doing it. I've loved my business right from the time I was a lawn mowing contractor until now.
Oh, he's brilliant.
So we got a bit of content, James, which we went in a day on the road, as I said at the start, from 7 till 1:30 with the Jim's Mowing franchisee from the start. We're going to hopefully do this with every other division, so cleaning, we're going to do dog wash as well. And you can watch that to get an idea of it. He did 7 jobs. We probably held him up. And I had a crack at the whipper snip. I've actually never used whipper snip in my life. And if there's a complaint that comes through, we've got to get it removed because I bloody put a line in the lawn. So it's no good.
You can't do that.
No, I know. So I'm just saying if there's a complaint that comes through, I've got to get it off. But there's a bit of footage off it.
You might have to go back and redo it.
Yeah,
Have to fix it up.
I don't mind sitting behind a computer after that day in the field. But Matt Thorpe things are in the police force for around 18 years, and Matt Thorpe was in tip-top shape. And that's one of the things they always said, never been fitter, never been healthier, never been happier. And the way they move is great. And yeah, Des Warren out there with him. Des Warren's a bit older, but Des Warren is still fit as a fiddle, and it was quite impressive to see him. So
There's a lot to be said for it.
yeah, it's going to be a lot of that content there, James, so you can maybe watch that. So I'm going to get back to one of the questions here, which we had from the audience before, which is from Eric. And I'll read you as one out, Eric. So Eric has got a bit of a statement and a question, Jim, so just bear with me for a second.
Eric's just there.
Yeah, from Jim's Mobile Cafe in the front row. And Liz has just tuned in as well. Liz from Jim's Dog Wash in South Australia. So hi, Liz, and hopefully your MG with the Jim's Dog Wash brand is still cruising around.
These dog wash people stick together, don't they?
Yeah, they do. They're all in, which is great.
Team Red.
My question is for Jim, but I thought I would share something our granddaughter said when she found out that her grandmother Ricky was doing dog wash. She said that what Disney is to the film industry, Jim is to the service industry. An interesting perspective from a 15-year-old. What about that take? So you're like a Walt Disney to the franchising industry.
That's
there, Jim.
amazing.
Well, that's very nice. I have to say, I'm not making as much money as Walt Disney did.
Well, Disney owns ESPN now. They all got the UFC, so they
You know the funny thing about it, the BRW's onto me about being in the rich 500, and I said, you've got to be joking. I don't even have a fraction of the wealth that those guys have, because our system it looks huge, but it's a narrow income. So when somebody mows a lawn for $60, I might end up with 60 cents. It's a lot of expenses along the way, and most of the money goes to franchisees, and then most of that goes to the franchisors. So it's great, but it's not quite as I'm not as rich as people think I am.
That's true. We don't get bonuses or anything, and
No.
we're just on the bottom side.
I pay everybody minimum wage, including him.
Yeah, that's true. Now, but the question from Eric was, my question is, when using my ride-on mower at home, I first go forward, then reverse back over the same area. I find that I get a nice even cut. Does he think that this is a good method, or would he recommend a different way? So a mowing specific question.
You can do what you like at home, Eric, but it wouldn't work too well if you're a contractor. You're not making any money. You've got to work out how to do an immaculate job in a very fast time.
It's not speed, it's pleasure at home.
We won't go there. We'll
If you had to make a living from it, you'd look a bit different. Okay? Because a typical suburban lawn, to mow, edge, blow off the paths, do an immaculate job, should be no more than about 35 minutes.
I was going to say I do mine in 30 minutes.
Oh, the boys yesterday were that quick. They were ripping through it. One go on the edges, perfect line. back and forth, and then I had to fix up my stuff up when I hacked the lawn, but that's all right. Okay, so we got some.
Hard to get good help.
How long
That's
would it
true.
take you to wash a typical dog, like say a Labrador or something?
Oh, Labrador, I've just done one before I came here. So he took me about 45 minutes. That's a bath, blow dry, nails, ear clean.
And how much would you charge for that?
I charge $60 today.
Okay, that's good.
So with the, I know you guys do grooming as well, so with other animals. So I remember Sharon talking about this. So guinea pigs, cats.
Katherine's
What
got guinea pigs.
Yeah.
I'm laughing because I've got two very
Right.
fluffy guinea pigs, which I do groom.
You do groom guinea